What if the person working next to you every day was really a spy, hired by the boss to keep an eye on you? Believe it or not, that's exactly what was going on at the Campbell Soup Company. Campbell says it was looking into complaints by a dozen employees that some workers were using drugs on the job. But most of the 62 workers who were accused and fired say it's a lie. Can a worker be fired based on accusations? Was Campbell Soup's investigation fair? Well, Tom Jarrell looked for answers during his own investigation.
Campbell Soup, 21 kinds of Campbell Soup.
For over a century, Campbell's Soup Company has nurtured its image as a friendly, healthy addition to the table of millions of American homes.
Every day at Campbell.
Good.
A meal with chicken.
Today, top names like skater Nancy Kerrigan endorse Campbell's products in sophisticated advertising campaigns.
Campbell's.
It's a multi-billion-dollar company that makes soups and a wide range of foods, from fish sticks to juices to pickles. It's big business with a small-town appeal. And one of its main plants is located smack dab in the heartland.
Napoleon, Ohio, population 8,800. If there's anything like a company town, this is it. And the company is Campbell Soup, by far the largest employer here. It seems an unlikely place for controversy, but just over a year ago, more than 60 workers were summarily fired for allegedly using drugs on the job. Most of the workers say they're innocent and were framed by the company. The result, a bitter confrontation between Campbell's and the union over the firings.
Caught in the crossfire are typical American families, the fired employees of Campbell's Soup. Ted Iorio is the union's lawyer.
No matter what we do, no matter how hard we fight, no matter whether we try to bargain with them or not, they're not backing off because they're the Campbell kids. And it's the power of soup. You know, it's like
Local 626 of the United Food and Commercial Workers International is fighting to get those fired back in the plant. And some of the workers are suing the company for millions of dollars in damages. David Gelios is head of the union.
To the best of your knowledge, was there a significant drug problem at the plant?
No, we have never had that. The company has a right to inspect their lockers, their lunch buckets, the bags they come in. They've never found a case like that. We've never had it.
So is Napoleon a hotbed of drug trafficking? No. In fact, only 36 arrests were made for drugs in the area last year. But Campbell's was convinced there was a need for an internal investigation at its plant. So the company hired a California private detective firm, Kraut and Schneider, to place undercover operatives inside the Napoleon plant. For several months, ending in December 1992, 3 operatives went undercover to spy on the assembly lines, working side by side with Campbell's employees. Another was posted as a guard who roamed the parking lot, keeping notes on people he thought were using drugs. But there were no photographs, videotapes, or other physical evidence. Only the secret reports sent back each night to the headquarters in California. Finally, the workers were brought into an interrogation room, sometimes for up to 6 hours, confronted with the accusations and dismissed. Jim Noggle worked for Campbell's Soup for 10 years. He lost his $13 an hour job because one investigator charged he smoked marijuana twice during lunch in the parking lot.
I've never touched it. I don't care to. I won't have it around my family because I don't want it around my kids.
Did you have a sense that through the interrogation they were trying to break you?
Oh, yeah. They kept harassing you about drugs. You know, they had photographs of me smoking marijuana and told me the only way they had a photograph of me smoking anything, even a cigarette, is if they doctored up a photograph.
These are the company's charges that they made against you specifically. How do you answer them? The subject was observed smoking marijuana with Steve Gilgenbach in the company parking lot.
It never happened. Steve doesn't smoke. I don't smoke. He doesn't smoke cigarettes either.
It goes on to say that on the very next day, you stated that you had smoked marijuana a couple of times in the company parking lot. This to what they call their operative, their uniformed security man.
Never talked to their operative that I know of. I sure wouldn't stand in the hallway and have a conversation with somebody I don't know.
I told him that there was no way I did it.
Steve Gilgenbach, the father of 2 young girls, was fired for allegedly using marijuana twice in the parking lot. A private eye said he saw him with Noggle.
They never offered any videotapes, any hard evidence?
I asked them to see the evidence, and they said they didn't have time to go into it. I stood up and I come across the desk and I said, I want to take a drug test now. And they said it wouldn't do you no good.
He told
His
me,
wife, Julie.
and I just couldn't believe it. And I know for sure that he is not guilty of what this person accused him of. There is no doubt in my mind.
What was it like on you and your family at home? A lot of insecurity?
Very, a lot. It was bad. It was a rough time. It still is tough.
Les Geldy lost his job preparing spices for soups after 13 years at Campbell's. An undercover agent claimed Geldy snorted cocaine in a company bathroom.
I told him that I've never even seen cocaine except on TV, and the investigator sat there and called me a liar.
What did you do to try to prove you were innocent?
I demanded a drug test on the spot and to the investigators, and they denied me one. They wouldn't give me a drug test. So I come home that night very upset, and I called the hospital, and I had a urinalysis drug test done, and I had a hair follicle test, which tests for cocaine residue in the hair follicles and the hair shafts, and I had a polygraph test done, and all the drug tests come back negative, and the polygraph tests come back showing that I was telling the truth, and they wouldn't even look at it.
So that was never considered by the company before they let you go?
No.
What angers you the most about what they did?
Well, it was, I couldn't pay my bills, so I had to call places, and, as soon as you mentioned that you worked at Campbell's, and they knew exactly what it was for, and it's just ruined my reputation. It's ruined my name. If it wasn't for my family, I'd have lost everything.
Of the 62 employees fired, some insisted they were innocent, while over half admitted orally or in writing they were guilty of the charges. Nearly all of them have since retracted their statements, claiming they were coerced into making them during lengthy interrogations. Forrest Fisher speaks for Campbell's. He's head of the company's medical and safety program.
We feel that the investigation was credible and reasonable. It was our intent to maintain a safe workplace and to address this as a workplace issue, and that's exactly what we've done.
Campbell's won the first round when the state of Ohio ruled the company had followed appropriate procedures in firing the employees. But the cases are now before independent arbitrators and the civil courts. Ironically, the only criminal charges filed in the big drug bust at Campbell's were against the private investigating firm. They were fined $1,000 for failing to register with local authorities as required by Ohio law. 2020 retained Mike Kessler, a longtime private investigator, to analyze the cases made by Campbell's.
What's your assessment of this investigation?
Well, I have some problems with them. There was the notes that were destroyed. Covert recordings and audio were not done at all. Witnesses that backed out after they made various statements against an individual. And finally, the coercion, the interviewing process, keeping somebody in a room for the amount of time that was involved certainly leaves questions regarding their procedures.
These aren't normal techniques?
No, they're not.
Have you heard of a case this size with this number of employees being accused of drug use and local police being totally cut out of it?
It's unbelievable. When you have 62 employees getting involved or caught in an undercover operation, in a 3-month period of time, and not having local law enforcement contacted so that they can find out what the sources are, I question the validity of that investigation.
Do you think the fired employees have a case against Campbell's?
Oh, I think that they have an argument. I think they have a damn good argument.
Dr. Fisher of Campbell's declined to discuss any specific cases of those fired because of pending lawsuits. But the company agreed to speak about the overall investigation.
You based your case on the work of Crowd and Snyder, right?
We based our case on the facts that were developed from the investigation.
By Crowd and Snyder. Why didn't these people pick up any hard physical evidence in their investigation? It's all one man's word against another.
The matter of the investigation was determined by the investigating firm, and any questions referable to that should be addressed to them.
Dr. Fisher maintains local officials were consulted about the investigation, but police say they were cut out of the probe.
It sounded like a major drug operation. Why not call in the police?
It was not Campbell Soup Company's intent to pursue criminal prosecution. It was our intent to maintain safety in the workplace. That's the way it was pursued. We feel that was fair. We feel that the facts speak for themselves.
We wanted to speak with a private detective firm, but they declined our request to be interviewed. For those fired at Campbell's, one of the principal employers in all of Western Ohio, finding work has been difficult. Steve Gilgenbach searched for more than a year before he finally found a job.
It takes a toll on you, knowing you don't do nothing, and everybody saying they'll put you all in one group and say you're all druggies in here.
I just hold my head high and know what we believe in, and we do not believe in using drugs for our lifestyle.
Jim Noggle is still out of work.
I hope you get your job back.
There's nothing else around here really pays what Campbell's Soup does. I know it won't be the same going back if I do go back. Because Campbell's Soup lost my respect, and it's going to take them a long time to get that back, if they ever will.
Tom, this seems to be a very unusual way to go about things, or am I just misinformed? Is this how most companies try to find out if people are on drugs?
Not at all, Barbara. Our consultant says this was a very rare investigation. Most companies use surveillance cameras and drug testing, standard techniques. They don't build a case like this.
Now, what about arbitration? You said that the men and women may be going into arbitration.
The first case has been completed. An arbitrator has ruled entirely in favor of one of the employees, Les Geldy. He was in our report. He gets his job back, he gets back pay, he gets seniority restored. He will report back to Campbell's. The other cases are still pending.
But each one has the opportunity for arbitration.
Right. There's 62 cases here. This is only the first. Each one has to fight their way back in. Geldy has succeeded.
There's a long road ahead.
Right.
Thank you, Tom.
Certainly.